Week 1 we started off with basic page creation. Week 2 we moved a little bit further, including doc types and links and division elements and paragraphs. In week 3 we're dealing with tables. Even though tables are pretty much old school in terms of web page creation, we do have them every now and then for tabular data such as price sheets. So this week I'm going to give a little presentation on tables. Then we're going to move a little bit into divisions and link colors, and we can wrap it up at that point. So what you see on the screen here is this in the browser right here is a table. Obviously it has a headline text up here, has the subcaption down here, and this element right here with the red border all around it is the actual table. Now if we look at the markup, let's scroll up to the top here, we have the doc type, and we have the opening HTML tag with the attributes pointing back to w3org. We have the head element right here with the table of our fruit site, and that is displayed right up here in the browser. Then we have the body element, which is this section right here. And inside the body element, we start off with a headline text, "Welcome to our fruit site," and that's right up top here. That's this text right here. And then we have a table border indicating what the border size and the color, and that's for the whole table itself. And then we have a caption, fruit information, and that's right up here. And then we have call group. We actually have two of them, which is right here, defining the colors for a group of columns, and that would be the orange and the yellow. And then after that we close it. We close the call group element. Then we start with the actual table data. Now we have table rows and we have table data. The TR tags are one complete element. So we have an opening one here and a closing one here. Nested in between is a table data element. And the table data tells the browser to span 4 columns. The background color is light blue. I want it to align center, and here's the actual text that goes inside the data. And we're closing the tag, and we're closing the element right here. So that's the first element. So the fruit information first table line, let's look over here. Fruit information first table line. It spans 4 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4. The background is blue, and here's the information. The next table row element is right here. We open up the table row, we close it down here. Nested in between the table row element are 2 table data elements themselves. We have an opening tag here and a closing tag here, and then we have fruit with stems and fruits with without stems. Fruits with stems, fruits without stems. So it goes right across the table, because that's a table data inside the table row. These are rows, these are columns. I should have clarified that. Close the element there. Then we have another element down here. We have an opening table row, closing table row, so in between this element is the table data. We have apple, cherries, bananas, and lemons. Apples, cherries, bananas, and lemons. And as you can tell, we go through the rest of it, grapes, peach, limes, orange, and so forth. And these are the other rows. After that, we close the table, and that's the completed table right there. So that's how you construct a table in HTML. And this simple exercise just closes the body and the HTML tags, so that elements rather, so that we have a completed web page. So that's basically how you do tables in HTML. There is no external style sheets. You could, but you really don't need to have any. You can indicate borders if you wanted to, or you could not. You can just simply leave this out and there won't be a border. So that's how you do tables. You can actually define how big this table is. So it can be the whole page. It can be just a portion of the page. This is how we used to do web design. We used to break the page up into rows and columns, and through the table attributes you can indicate how wide and how big, what color the table data elements are. So if you broke up the page, you can have blocks of text. Moving on, we had CSS come into the equation, and now everything is usually designed with CSS, breaking the pages up into block elements. So you might have heard that term in your reading. So basically, that's how we do tables. Next, I would like to talk about divisions, because div tags or div elements kind of replace the table itself. And I have a couple of examples. Let's look at this one right here. In fact, let's minimize these, get these out of the way, and minimize that. So we have a sample div HTML, and if I can go back, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. And let's just find the file here. This is, that's the wrong one. There we go. Give it a second, we're loading here. There we go. So we have two divisions on this page with a headline text up top here. So if we look at the markup again, we have the doc type. It's defined as a traditional doc type, XML1. We have an opening HTML tag with an attribute pointing back to w3org. And when we close we open up the head section, and inside the head section, notice we have a link right here, a link element that links to the style sheet. It's an external style sheet, and that's what I want to talk about next. But let's just put that aside for a second. We have a title element, sample div, and again, that would appear up top here in our browser. And then we close the head section. That's a head element right there. We open up a body element, and that's our body element right here. So here's our opening body tag and our closing body tag. Inside the body, we have our content. Now I have a couple of divisions going on here. First, I have div align center. Now, traditionally, you're not supposed to do it this way, but you can. If you're defining the doc type as a transitional doc type, it is allowed that you align the div using a center attribute. So again, that's one quick way of centering your content, your division, in the your div element rather in the browser window. And then we have some text about us, and that's right here. And then we just close the div. So that's one div element. And this block right here would be the about us content. Then we open up another division, and that's one right here. We have a left one right here, and we have a right one right here. And then I have another one, a fourth one, that's the main division, and I just put the text stuff goes here. So if we look at the page here, we have two divisions. We have the left and the right. And so I may have the wrong file here, but at any rate, this is what we have going on. We have a left and a right, and we have the stuff goes down here. There should have been another text element down here. So the way we do it is we have a left and a right, and in this external style sheet, which is, let's open this up. These are the styles for the two divisions, and again, let's open up the right one here. Here we go. Basically, I had the wrong file open, but the concept was the same. Instead of we have three divisions here. One was called left, one was called right, one was called main. Here's the style sheet. Oops. Instead of that, we had one was called who, one was called what. So if we look at the CSS, and again, it linked to an external style sheet. Here's the declaration for the who division, and here's the declaration for the what division. So that's just simply a name. When we're assigning IDs to elements, in this case a div element, you can name it anything you want. You could name it your name, you could name it who or what in this case. But one rule is to make sure that you name it something familiar, something common. When it comes time to edit this website in a couple of months, you want to be able to find things quickly. So you actually don't want to name it who or what. You'd never know where it is in the element. So I commonly name mine, header, footer, banner, common names to kind of describe what and where that division is on the page. But let's talk a little bit about this external CSS style sheet here. So we have one division here with an ID of who. These are the declarations of what is supposed to happen. Obviously you can see that the background was purple, the padding was 15 pixels by 0, the margin left was 20, and the width was 200. Now if we look at the page, this is the one we're talking about here, we have a left margin of 20 pixels. From the left hand side it charges over 20 pixels. The width is 200, so from this point here to that point here is 200 pixels. So it's actually 200 and plus 20 from the left hand side of the web browser. If we look at the other division, the what division, that's over here, look at the width. We have 200 pixels, same width as this, and I have a margin of 0 and another auto command here, which would actually automatically center that division. You can actually define, if we wanted to hike that over, where are we? Margin left 20 pixels. We could have a margin left in here and say 400, and now this box would be right here. That would start off right there, and it would go 400 pixels from the left-hand margin. So that's another way of pushing elements and having elements in certain positions on the page. You can have it automatically centered, as in this command right here, or you can actually define how far from the page or from the left and the top that you want to be. Margin left, margin right, margin top, and margin bottom. So you can actually define where that element is on the page. So that's how CSS works in conjunction with the HTML that you're dealing with. Now let's talk a little bit about the CSS file itself. Notice that I don't have any doc type, I don't have any traditional commands like we were used to seeing, a head or a title or a body. In a CSS, in fact, you don't even have to have this in here. I just put that in for a descriptive for my own purpose. For a CSS external style sheet, all you really need are the commands, the declarations that deal with the content that you're referring to in your HTML page. So when you're linking the file, this right here is the link command. It's linking and it's giving the reference to where that style sheet is located. In this case, it's in the root section of this accompanying HTML page. So it's naming where the style sheet, what the style sheet's called, and where it's located. And it's a relation of a style sheet. The type is text/CSS. So this command right here tells the browser, okay, we have some style sheets going on here. Look in the root section. It's a file called style.css. When the browser looks at that file, these are the declarations, and the only declarations that it's going to care about. It's not going to care about anything in here, okay, because that's just a comment. If you put a body or an HTML, it ignores it. It's not a command it recognizes. It just recognizes pure CSS commands and tags, and those are in your book. You can also search online for all the commands. So when you're doing your external style sheet, all you really need are the commands themselves, and you can list it right here. We have an ID selector, the ID name, and then the opening selector and closing selector right there, and then we have the declarations in between. This is all that really matters for the external style sheet. So that's how we define CSS, external style sheets, and CSS. So we're going to close these two, and we can close that. The next thing I'd like to talk about are, well, we talked about two external style sheets and two divisions. The border color and creating something without a link, or when you create a hyperlink on an image or text, your browser tends to change the color to blue and it underlines it. If you were to use an image as an image link, in this case, here's the HTML for that. Again, we have the opening doc type and the head and so forth. If we skip all the way down to the body, we look at right here, this command right here. We start off with the A tag, and the attribute is a reference, a hyperlink reference. The name of it is next.html. The image, instead of text being the hyperlink, it's an image being the hyperlink. So normally you would see text here. You'd have an A tag, rather a hyperlink reference, and the name of the file to link to, and immediately to the right of that would be the text, and then we close in the A tag. But in this case, we have an image indicated here. So this image would be the hyperlink. That would actually be the link for it. Now, normally that would have a border around it. Just as text would have an underline, an image would have a border around it. If we want to get rid of that, you can just do a simple an internal style sheet, like this right here. So it's an internal style sheet, and again, there are three types of styles: an external style sheet, which we just talked about, an internal style sheet, like this, or an inline style. This is an internal style sheet. It goes in between the heads, in the head section, between the opening and the closing head tag. And all we're doing is saying it's a style type of text/CSS. For any of the images in this HTML document, because we're targeting the entire image tag, so any image in this document, we're going to have a border equals none. And that's it. And we're closing the style declaration right there. So that right there makes any images that you have in here as a hyperlink with no border. So that's fairly simple to do. And with that, I think I'm going to close this presentation. And if you have any questions, just send me an email.